Welcome to the special immigration show brought to you by Sakshi TV. My name is Ranjit. We are here today with the prominent attorney Sheela Murthy to discuss the latest updates on the immigration. You can call the numbers displayed on the screen and ask any question related to immigration, and the attorney will be glad to answer. We'll start taking calls in a few minutes. Before starting the show, I would like to repeat the disclaimer. Please note this show does not provide any legal advice. It is general in nature and it is only for informational purposes. Sakshi TV news and agents are not responsible in any way for your actions. Use this information at your own risk. Please get a consultation from an attorney if needed. Let me introduce Ms. Sheela Murthy. She's the founder and president of the Murthy Law Firm and a Harvard Law School graduate. Before getting into the section, could you please briefly introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Ranjit. Welcome, everybody. My name is Sheela Murthy, as you just learned from Ranjit, of the world-famous website, www.murthy.com. We're based in Baltimore County, Maryland. We're about 100 people, staff, very strong. We believe in the greatness of America as a nation of immigrants, and that each and every one of you who have come in as immigrants is the reason, a big part of the reason that America is the greatest nation on earth. So thank you for what you have done for the greatness of America and what you continue to do by working hard, believing in the American dream, and continuing to make your parents proud, your family proud, your community proud, and America proud. So we are only vehicles that are here to help you accomplish and achieve your great American dream of living and working in this greatest country on earth. And you are the reason for the greatness of this country. So we are happy to help you today and answer your questions. Thank you, Ranjit.
Yeah, let's get into our session. The three hot topics that, before the Trump admin leaves are, there are changes to the H1B lottery is the first thing, and the wage level increase, which was previously, struck down by court. They are making little changes and introducing again. And the other one is, the requirements of filing an H1B by the client with respect to third-party placements, which is almost impossible. And I was just reading on the news from Twitter handle of the Greg, and it looks like that didn't make on time. But yeah, let's discuss about these three things and how they are going to impact and what's the likelihood of they being imposed or being implemented by the new administration.
So, obviously, you can see the Trump administration is obviously very determined and keen to push as many policies as they can to put roadblocks and make it, I think, very difficult, if not impossible, for IT consulting companies to continue to do business by changing the registration system. It's already past middle of January, and we don't have detailed guidance on what the new registration system is going to be, how it's going to work, what's going to happen. It was supposed to happen last year for the first time. They introduced the new registration system in March of 2020. And now they want to change that, but the details aren't even available, and people are scrambling and people aren't sure what system is going to be available. So we have three major things, like you said, that have come out. One is the new registration system. Second is, of course, payment based on the new wage level system, which we touched upon last week, where I spoke about, level 4, level 3, level 2, level 1, and almost nobody in level 1 or 2 is probably going to get an H1, which means all fresh college graduates are going to be not going to be eligible for H1B, which is one of the main reasons why they come to America, is to study and then work on F1 OPT, then try to get STEM OPT, and then try to get the ability to work on H1B. If that whole option is going to be taken off the table and no longer available, then I wonder the financial impact, which is billions of dollars of the US economy, because people from all over the world send their children to study in US universities with the hope that they will hopefully stay and return back all those billions of dollars worth of student loans and support the families as well. So that was, of course, the second thing. And the third thing that we just talked about was the issue of possibly the Trump administration requiring both the Department of Labor and the Department of Homeland Security to require the end client to file the LCA and an H1B petition, requiring multiple intermediaries to maybe file an H1 petition, which again doesn't make any sense because no one's even clear how that could work, how that makes sense, how many multiple fees can the government take for the same H1 petition? And how do we know where to draw the line? But we think that might be off the table at this point, but that's the latest.
Okay. Let's jump into the next topic. Before that, we have a caller, Suresh from Atlanta. Let's take the call and then we can continue with our discussion. Hi, Suresh. Welcome to the show. You are on the air and you can ask your question.
Yeah, I have a question regarding H4 EAD.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, what
my
about your
wife lost
question?
she lost her job on last December. So based on the processing time from USCIS website, it shows 6.5 months to 9.5 months. So we filed around August last year, August. So is there any other ways to expedite this request, or should we have to wait for this?
So a lot of people, of course, are trying to expedite. The USCIS, as you know, the Department of Homeland Security, the Congress has actually passed a law allowing H4 EADs to be able to be premium processed. But as we also know, the USCIS has purposefully not issued the final regulations on how they can pay the form and get the answer back within 15 days. So even though Congress has acted, the administration, the executive branch has not moved on it. A lot of people are filing lawsuits to ensure that they're getting the EAD on time. It's true that it used to take 3 months to 6 months, and now it's taking an average of around 8 months for most H4 EADs. And most employers are not willing to wait, obviously, for 8 months, 12 months for the employee to come in and work. So the easiest options, you could try to contact the CIS Ombudsman's office, which we sometimes do by filing the Form 7001. Second, you can, of course, also try to contact your senator or representative on what to do and how to proceed from here. And then third is filing the lawsuit. Sometimes you just have to jumpstart, push, file. A lot of judges get angry. A lot of times USCIS, the attorney, federal court attorney, gets upset because these are the kinds of lawsuits they don't want to waste their time and resources fighting. But if it means that your family is going to lose money, which you need to survive, pay your mortgage, pay your rent, make your car payments, buy groceries, it's important to point that out and say that this is not, we wouldn't be filing this lawsuit lightly, but for the fact that we are desperate to need this help.
Thank you so much for your help and support.
You're welcome, Suresh.
I hope that answered your question. Okay, getting into a topic, these 2 or 3 rules which were supposed to be implemented, what are the chances do you think that the new administration going to pursue them? Let's say even if you pursue them, do you think the possibility of the changes going to be effective from this lottery? Because a lot of people are in panic, a lot of staffing companies are in dilemma, what to do, what not to do, how to proceed. So can you please shed some light on what are the possibilities, what are the chances of getting it even implemented?
Sure. So obviously, the incoming president, which is by tomorrow at this time, will have him sworn in as the president. Joseph R. Biden has made it very clear that he has put immigration as one of his top agenda items to reverse a lot of the policies, the anti-immigration and immigrant-related policies of the Trump administration. What to me is, of course, surprising and somewhat shocking, Ranjit, is how so many immigrants who went through the process, who spent tough sleepless nights, now that they got their green card or citizenship, want to close the door behind them and prevent others from enjoying what I think is the big part of the reason for the greatness of America is the hard work, contribution, and sweat, toil, and tears of immigrants. So we can only any lawyer or any pundit or anybody studying and researching this issue is, of course, making an educated guess based on statements, comments, and information released by the Biden team in advance. We know that they are going to try to turn the clock back on. He has talked about the presidential proclamations about DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, make it an 8-year path to citizenship. I think what they released earlier today. And then they're looking at several other, like the Muslim country ban, which is focusing on keeping people outside. They're going to go after that in the first 10 days in office. But we also believe that there are other issues like the H1B employees and their families who have been prevented from traveling back when they had traveled abroad based on the 2 presidential proclamations of April 22nd, 2020 and June 22nd, 2020, is directly impacting H1 and L1s and their certain J1s, etc. And the Biden administration has made it clear that they understand the importance of immigrants to America. Kamala Harris, of course, herself is the children of immigrants, both highly educated, highly intelligent, immigrants. Her mother, of course, came here for studying her PhD in the United States from Chennai, India. And so the general perception is that they're going to be somewhat easier on some levels. And it's interesting because Republicans traditionally are known to support employment-based immigration or business immigration, and Democrats are supposed to favor family immigration. Now, Trump, of course, was against both in business and family and every kind of immigration except bringing his wives into the country. 2 of his 3 wives, as we know, were immigrants themselves. But what we are hopefully going to see is that the Biden administration will be somewhat more flexible. But however, we still have a really tough economy. There are economic issues and pressures. And of course, COVID-19 is a big part of it. The poor planning of the previous Trump administration in not doing a lot of things that they could have done, including eliminating the entire, division or department focused on trying to deal with public health pandemics, is part of the reason that the rollout has been so haphazard. But Biden cannot completely ignore the economy and problems. And so some of the Department of Labor salary issues, wage issues, some of those might be a little more problematic, especially because if there were final regulations imposed, you can't just overnight turn it around unless you can put it on hold if it's in that gray area zone, push it for another 60 days. But at the end of the day, at some point, they don't want to come across as taking away jobs from American workers. So it's a delicate balance between how to make this work in a win-win fashion for businesses, for families, and for the US economy overall.
That sounds great. Right on time. So yeah, we have a caller, Raju from Houston. Let's take the call and then we have some interesting topics to discuss. Hi Raju, welcome to the show. You're on the air. Please ask your question.
Hey, I have a couple of questions, Ranjit. First thing is I heard there is something like LCA where even the client side also should open an LCA when an H1B employee is working at the client side. That's one thing. I just want to have a little light on that. And coming to the Dropbox, I have heard it's been extended to 2 years. Is that only for the during of the COVID, or it's been extended for now even after COVID? It's 2 years, the Dropbox.
Okay, so let's answer both your questions in the order in which you asked them, Raju. First question, of course, was the issue of the end clients having to give LCAs and file new H1B petitions. We believe that is temporarily on hold at this point. The latest, I know from 2 days ago it wasn't, but just from today, we believe that it is on hold. Again, this is where the interim final regulation did not mention any of this, and they quietly slipped it into the final regulation. So even from a legal point of view, I think it would have been challenged in a court of law, and most judges would have probably thrown it out, because both the US Department of Homeland Security and the US Department of Labor, by putting this in a final regulation, or trying to make it a final regulation when it was nowhere mentioned for review and comments in the interim final regulation, comes across as showing bad faith on the part. But anyway, at this point, it seems like it's on hold, so hopefully it won't go through. The second issue about the 24 months for the Dropbox, because of COVID and because of everything going on, because people have paid fees already a year ago and most consulates around the world have been closed, initially they said it was valid for 12 months. Then they changed it recently, a couple weeks ago, I think, to 24 months validity for the visa fees that you have paid, to be able to use that. Remember, most consulates around the world are even now closed because of COVID-19 restrictions. And so even though, for example, in India, they are showing February and March as having openings for visa interviews, it is actually just a placeholder, because it is only available for emergency appointments under the emergency exemptions, the national interest exemptions under the presidential proclamations. So even if you take a date, they will give it to you and then they will cancel it later on. In fact, the Murthy India Immigration Services Private Limited, murthyindia.com, those people attended an interview and a meeting with the chief of the consular section and the chief of the NIV section in Chennai. And they made it very clear that these appointments that they are showing as available for February, March, and April of 2021 are in fact not actually open and available. They will cancel it at the 11th hour unless you qualify under the national interest exemption. But the 24 months will likely continue for you, Raju.
Oh, okay, sorry, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt you. So my question is because I have my H1B is expired 2020 December 31st. So I have generally I have this whole year to go back to India and get my visa stamped. My question is, I heard it's for 2 years. So am I eligible for this 2 years or no?
Based on the current policy, yes. Yes, Raju, it is valid for 2 years. So if your visa stamp was expiring on, for example, on December 31st of 2020, you have until December 30th of 2022 to use the Dropbox facility, send in your passport and get it back, hopefully stamped, so you don't have to attend. Remember, they also don't want to meet us in person because they don't want to get the COVID-19 themselves. And in countries like India, they're not even expecting it to be completely vaccinated for 1 or 2 more years.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
I hope you got your answers. Going to the next important topic about this high-skilled immigration, which is, you all very well know that people have been suffering a lot on this. We are just learning more about the Biden immigration legislation. Our 46th president, who is going to be sworn in tomorrow, will be introducing a legislation tomorrow which revises the legal immigration process as well as DACA and Dreamers. There are few key elements of this, especially for the employment-based and family-based. They are pursuing an option of recapturing the unused visas from previous years. That's first thing. And the second thing is they want to exempt the derivatives, the spouses and children of, to be counted against the green cards. That would obviously almost double the numbers. And the third one they wanted to pursue is exempting the doctoral graduates in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the STEM graduates, exempting from the green card counting. That way, again, some pool would be added. So, these are some key elements they wanted to pursue. How do you think these will help our, high-skilled immigrants? And do you think these require the Congress to pass the bill, or, some of these can be pursued by executive orders, which will ease the pain of a lot of high-skilled immigrants?
Excellent questions, excellent points. It's fantastic. And I think Indians and Indian nationals will benefit tremendously from all of these, because giving PhD candidates, for example, a lot of PhD candidates in STEM fields, especially come in from India and other Asian countries. So I think it's going to be a huge, big benefit for everybody. Second, we also have this, like you said, the exemption of spouses and children from the visa count. Again, the biggest backlog in the employment-based category, as we all know, are Indian nationals with a multi-year wait. Even in EB2, we have to wait 5-10 years compared to rest of the world is 0. And while they almost thought another bill might get passed into law, there was a high chance it would go through, but it never became effective. So doubling or even tripling the number of immigrant visas available would be perfect, because it will really open up and result in a cleaning up of a lot of the backlog, and also giving back the unused visa numbers and putting them back in the pool will again help to eliminate the huge backlogs. For actually many of these, we don't need Congress to intervene. The executive, the administration can issue, because the way the law is written, it's somewhat ambiguous, and it could be interpreted purely by executive orders by the president or the administration. Now, obviously, if Congress has an inherent concern about it, Congress could decide that they would either pass a law supporting it or deciding against it. But most of the time, they have been very supportive in letting the president do a lot of things by executive action, because Congress has been so slow in acting to a large extent. Now, with the president, the US House of Representatives, and the US Senate, with the breaking vote being with the Vice President Kamala Harris, starting from tomorrow, maybe a lot of these will go through even easier, even both with the administration and in Congress. One can only hope. But all of these are fantastic, fantastic pieces of news for people who are highly educated, highly intelligent, and Indian immigrants have been a true bonus and benefit. And I think a big part of the reason America is such a great country. And I know we're speaking primarily to an Indian audience, so congratulations on you being here.
That sounds great. Another one important thing that we are learning is H4 EADs, they are planning to add it to the statute, so they won't be attacked via any litigation or rulemaking. So what do you think this is going to, be for all, the spouses and, the people of high skilled immigrants?
I think it's like a wonderful, most exciting news, because right now the H4 EAD was, of course, introduced by the Obama administration in a regulation, and the Trump administration from day one said that they were going to cancel and revoke all the H4 EADs. They tried, they studied it, they researched it, but they found that they didn't have much support, and they knew there would be hundreds, if not thousands, of lawsuits challenging the revocation of the H4 EAD program, because many people had already relied on it and used it to buy homes or buy cars and take debts, etc. And so if Congress actually makes H4 EAD as part of in the law, instead of just a Department of Homeland Security regulation, it will give peace of mind that any president who comes and goes, because people vote in and out presidents, but changing the laws takes a little bit longer and is a more carefully studied thought. I think it will give a lot of peace of mind to all of the H4 EAD family members who are relying on both incomes to pay their rent or their mortgage, buy their cars, send their children to good private schools, and contribute and continue to invest that money back in the US economy for strengthening and making it stronger and better.
That sounds great. Another thing we are learning, the important issue for, the filibuster thing. The filibuster is, unless you procure 60 votes, it's highly unlikely any legislation will pass. And you very well know, I believe during the Obama administration, most of the bills were blocked by Republicans using the filibuster. So now we are hearing a lot of news that Biden is planning to change the filibuster rule to make it either 55 or less than 55, to make it easier for everyone. And I hopefully, if that happens, that would help a lot of people, and make the bills pass.
For sure. Now, every president comes in with a lot of, starry-eyed dreams to change the world, to make it stronger, to make it better. Sometimes they succeed with some of it. Sometimes they succeed with not much of it. But very rarely has any president succeeded 100% with everything that they want to do. So will Biden succeed for his sake and for the sake of our country? I certainly hope that a lot of what is well-intentioned for the best outcome for the US worker, for the US economy, for the contribution of immigrants, strengthening and making America a greater country, all of those, I hope that a lot of the proposals and the ideas that they're discussing do pass. But I think realistically, both you and I know, Ranjit, that that's probably not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, true. But, as we discussed, moreover, these legislations, these regulations which have been in place, it's an old age regulation. You very well know the H1B cap or the green card cap. It's of 1990s, which is not applicable anymore because things changed, things modernized, digitalized. They have not expected probably that era that things would be this advanced. So there should always be change.
You're 100% right. If I can go back to a brief story for those of us who are much older timers that the young people may not be familiar with. In 1990, when they passed the Immigration Act of 1990, it was pre-internet, pre all of this, the technology, the Y2K, all of this. And I remember when they were trying to come up with a number to fix of how many H1s to allow, they said, how many have we used in the last 5 or 10 years? They said less than 20,000. So they came up with 65,000 thinking it'll cover everything 3 times, 300% increase. And guess what? Y2K, the internet happened, the world opened up, and now 65,000 is so little. It's not even like a drop in the bucket. We are 3 times, 4 times of that with lotteries. Everyone, any economist will say, let the forces of supply and demand play a role, let natural let the economy work on its own, and let employers don't want to throw hard-earned money filing H1 petitions if they don't need it. They genuinely are trying to get good STEM graduates to do tech work. When they don't find it, then the jobs are going to be offshored or outsourced, and that's going to actually impact the US economy negatively even more than bringing those people, welcoming them, making them buy houses and cars and everything else, because these are highly educated, in high demand, with a huge shortage of high-skilled professionals required in the US economy. So I agree 100% with you that a lot of these, the last law that introduced the 65,000 cap is completely, did not have any idea that the world would completely be overturned on its head with everything happening in technology. So it is time that we completely rehaul our immigration system. Everybody agrees that we need to rehaul our immigration system, but like everything in this world, the devil is always in the details. And that is where people don't agree on what is the importance and what is required. The extreme of one side says, we don't want a single immigrant. The extreme on the other side says, open the floodgates. And the truth is always somewhere in the middle on how do you appease the two extremes.
It's high time we need change. On that note, we have a caller, Sweta. Let's take the call. Hi, Sweta. Welcome to the show, and you are on the air. Please ask your question.
Hi, this is Shweta. I have a question related to the prevailing wages, which came up recently. Hello?
Yes, we are listening. Yeah. So you want us to discuss that?
So is the new hike from the DOL regarding the prevailing wages is going to be only for the cap petitions, or it's going to be for, all the petitions like new extensions or any kind of amendments or an extensions beyond I-140 approval? Do we have any kind of segregation or classification for this prevailing wages hike?
Good question, Sweta. So what the government actually, what the Department of Labor and Department of Homeland Security actually are not limiting it only to new H1B Cap subject petitions. They are going to apply for extensions, and they phased it out. They gave up to 6 months, few months delay for extensions and other people. But I am 100% sure that it will be challenged, because in some cases, the salaries have literally gone up by 35, 50, even 100% increase. And that is not the norm. I mean, if you go and apply for a job, every company isn't paying a starting salary of $150,000 to somebody with almost no experience, or 100,000. So they have said they will phase it in, Shweta, for extensions and amendments, but it's going to be very soon. And the idea was to protect the US worker. And again, the idea itself is a really, as they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It was meant with good intentions, but it's going to have the exact opposite impact, I believe, in completely eliminating a huge category of people who are providing a very, very important need in the US economy by working in STEM fields, of which the country has a huge shortfall. And it's only the international global talent, people like you and your colleagues, that are helping to fill that huge void that exists in America with respect to high-skilled professionals in the STEM fields, as whether it's programmers or engineers or professors or tenure-track faculty members or scholars, researchers. All of those positions are not there. We don't have enough people to train US workers to do it.
Okay.
I hope you got your...
I got it. I also have a follow-up question regarding the same. Can I go ahead? Hello?
Yes, please. Just be quick. We only have 2 minutes.
Okay. There was an instant level 1 wages have been ruled out. And from couple of days, we have been seeing that both the administration, even in the Trump presidential rule and the new rule, which is coming up from tomorrow, we have seen a much focus on the prevailing wages. So if an employer gives to his employee a level 3 and a level 4 wage in the future, do we see any kind of a new trend in RFEs, asking the employer to provide an explanation why this particular employee is given a level 3 or level 4 wage, the same way we have been questioned in the level 1 wages?
So obviously, nobody has a crystal ball, Shweta, to know exactly what might happen in the future, but we know that at least in the Trump administration, the focus was on issuing RFEs and trying to issue as many denials as possible to make it impossible to hire international global talent. like people like yourselves. But we also know that the Biden administration has said that we will accept and recognize the huge value and importance that immigrant international high-skilled workers are providing for the benefit of U.S. employers and the U.S. economy. And so many government agencies, federal, state, and local governments are using this talent. So do we expect RFEs? I hope not. I hope they will reduce. I hope they would get eliminated to a large extent, especially if a company is paying a level 3 or level 4 wage, which I think is a very, very high wage. And unless somebody's truly at a level 3 or level 4 job level duties, to require payment of that type of wage seems not in tune with what is considered the norm or a proper prevailing wage. And again, all of these mandates requiring a level 3 or level 4 wage is actually contradicts what is in the actual H1B statute and regulations as introduced by Congress and passed by Congress. So just because the administration comes out with bizarre interpretations doesn't mean that it is valid and will continue to have the force of law. When and if, hopefully, it will be challenged very soon, it will be thrown out if it is legally improper. I know we're very short of time.
Yes. We have a lot to talk, but we only have so much time. So again, thanks a lot, Sheela Murthy, for your time. And, thanks for all the calls and watching the show. Viewers, it was a great session with interesting topics and questions. We'll get more updates and more topics. Keep watching the show. Please call in every Tuesday at 1 p.m. EST to watch the special immigration show. Again, it's every Tuesday at 1 p.m. EST on Sakshi TV. This is Anjit signing off. Thanks, Sheela.